The unforgettable disappearance of Meredith Crane, Canmore, Alberta, 1997. On a cold October evening in 1997, 22-year-old Meredith Crane disappeared from the outskirts of Canmore, Alberta. The last known sighting was near the shadowed edges of the Spray Valley Provincial Park, where dense coniferous forests stretched against the jagged peaks of the Canadian Rockies, and the chill autumn wind carried whispers through the pines. No witnesses, no sign of struggle, no indication of what happened after she vanished into the gathering dusk. Before we begin, I want to let you know that due to the limited visual materials and the age of this case, there isn't much existing footage or imagery to support the story you're about to hear. As a result, this episode will feature a single image as its background. Think of this as more of an immersive audio experience, a storytelling session that lets your imagination fill in the gaps. Now's the perfect time to grab your headphones, maybe even some popcorn, and settle in. Meredith Crane was a quiet, introspective young woman with a passion for nature and photography. Born and raised in Canmore, she was known among her friends as fiercely independent yet warm-hearted, a combination that made her both approachable and reserved. She had recently graduated from the University of Calgary with a degree in environmental studies. She was working part-time at a local bookstore while pursuing freelance photo assignments for a regional magazine. In the weeks leading up to her disappearance, Meredith had become increasingly absorbed in a personal project documenting the changing seasons in the Spray Valley. Her camera was said to be her constant companion. Friends recalled her mentioning a particularly evocative series she wanted to capture as the autumn light faded into early winter shadows. The evening she disappeared, Meredith told her roommate she planned to spend a few hours in the park, hoping to photograph a rare sunset she'd tracked for days. She left around 4 p.m., dressed in sturdy boots, a green jacket, and carrying her camera bag. The terrain was rugged, familiar to her but unforgiving to the unprepared. Canmore, a small town nestled in the Rocky Mountains with a population of just under 10,000 in the late 1990s, was a close-knit community where wilderness was never far. Spray Valley Provincial Park was a favorite escape for locals, a place where trails wound through thick evergreens and rocky slopes, with the nearest neighbors miles away. Her last confirmed sighting was by a passing hiker near the trailhead parking lot around 4:30 p.m., where she was seen adjusting her camera tripod, seemingly lost in her work. After that, Meredith disappeared into the trees. When she failed to return by nightfall, her roommate reported her missing. What followed was an intensive search coordinated by the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, RCMP, provincial park ranger, and volunteers that spanned several weeks. Yet, despite thorough ground sweeps, helicopter searches, and K-9 units, no trace of Meredith was ever found. No footprints, no belongings, no sign of her camera equipment. It was as if she had simply vanished. Her case was officially logged under RCMP file #AB97-1145. An investigation grew cold despite multiple leads and tips over the years. Speculation ranged from an accident on the rocky slopes to possible foul play, but no conclusive evidence ever emerged to support either theory. Meredith's disappearance remains a haunting mystery, one that unsettles the close-knit community of Canmore to this day. The mountains keep their secrets well, and the fading light that evening in 1997 swallowed a young woman whose story, tragically, never reached its end. October 15th, 1997, began like many autumn days in Canmore. Crisp air, the smell of pine and earth hanging heavy in the valleys, and a low-angle sun filtering weakly through thinning clouds. Meredith Crane's day was carefully documented through witness statements and investigative records, each piece pieced together by the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, RCMP. In the weeks that followed, early morning, at approximately 7:30 a.m., Meredith was seen leaving her apartment by her roommate, Lindsay James. According to Lindsay, Meredith appeared focused but calm, dressed casually in jeans and a flannel shirt, her camera bag slung over one shoulder. She seemed excited about the light that morning. Lindsay recalled during a police interview, RCMP case file AB97-1145, interview number 4. She said the sunrise was perfect for the shot she needed. She mentioned how this project was important to her, something she'd been working on for weeks. No unusual behavior was noted at this time, and Meredith's plans for the day were clear. She intended to visit Spray Valley Provincial Park to capture the shifting colors of fall. Her schedule was typical for a photographer driven by seasonal changes. Midday. By noon, Meredith had visited a small cafe downtown, where she briefly interacted with staff and ordered a coffee. The cafe manager, Mrs. Pauline Hart, remembered Meredith as pleasant, a little distracted, but nothing remarkable. Meredith reportedly mentioned she planned to spend the afternoon somewhere out near the canyon. Her cell phone records, limited as they were in 1997, show no calls or messages logged between 10 a.m. and 3 p.m., consistent with a timeline of her being out of cell range in the provincial park. Early afternoon, arrival at Spray Valley Provincial Park. Between 3:30 p.m. and 4 p.m., Meredith's blue Subaru station wagon was seen entering the parking area at the trailhead near the Snaring River Trail. Several hikers and park visitors later confirmed this sighting. One witness, a local backpacker named Peter Collins, gave a statement that proved crucial. Peter recalled seeing Meredith adjusting her camera equipment near the trailhead around 4:15 p.m. She was setting up her tripod. Looking out toward the valley, Peter said, she looked calm, absorbed in her work. I said, "Hi," but she just nodded. Nothing unusual. Peter's statement marked the last confirmed sighting of Meredith by an independent party, the trail, and the last known movements. From there, Meredith was expected to take the Snaring River Trail, a moderately challenging route that leads to several scenic overlooks favored by photographers. The trail winds through dense spruce and fir forests, rocky clearings, and steep slopes, terrain familiar to locals but unforgiving in fading light. Around 4:30 p.m., a park ranger, Corporal John Hayes, noted Meredith's Subaru parked correctly in the lot during a routine check. The ranger's report indicated no signs of disturbance in the area. However, by 5:30 p.m., Meredith had not returned to her vehicle, prompting growing concern. Evening. The first signs of alarm. At 6 p.m., when Meredith failed to answer calls on her cell phone and was absent from a prearranged dinner with friends, her roommate Lindsay contacted the Canmore RCMP to report her missing. The initial police response was prompt but cautious. Given the rugged landscape and Meredith's experience in the outdoors, officers initially classified the case as a potential lost person rather than a disappearance under suspicious circumstances. Search and rescue teams were mobilized quickly, joined by volunteers from the community. Search efforts and evidence, or lack thereof, from 6:30 p.m. to late into the night. Search parties combed the trail and surrounding forest using flashlights, torches, and tracking dogs. Helicopter support was requested by 8 p.m., given the challenging terrain and approaching darkness. Despite these efforts, searchers found no sign of Meredith. No footprints leading off the trail, no discarded belongings, no disturbance of underbrush. Her camera bag was notably missing from the vehicle, heightening concerns. A thorough sweep of the Subaru revealed no personal items left behind, no wallet, keys, or phone, except for a half-finished coffee cup in the passenger seat. The strange phone call. At approximately 9:15 p.m., Lindsay James received an anonymous call on Meredith's home phone line. The caller did not identify themselves and hung up immediately. RCMP investigators flagged this as a potentially significant detail, but were unable to trace the call. The content, if any, remained unknown. The following days, expanded search and community response. Search efforts expanded over the next 10 days, involving provincial park officials, the RCMP, volunteer organizations, and residents of Canmore and nearby towns. Flyers with Meredith's photo were distributed widely, and media outlets picked up the story. The Canmore Herald ran a front-page feature on October 20th titled, "Local Photographer Missing in Wilderness." Community rallying to find Meredith Crane, expressing both hope and urgency. Family's response. Meredith's family, living in Calgary, arrived within 48 hours, visibly shaken but determined. Her father, Martin Crane, issued a statement. Meredith is a strong, capable woman. She knows the land, and she would never wander off without cause. We are pleading with anyone who might know anything to come forward. Her mother, Elaine, spoke quietly with the investigators, emphasizing Meredith's deep connection to the mountains, but also her cautious nature. Friends described Meredith as someone who rarely took risks without preparation, contradicting theories of accidental disappearance, theories and speculation. As days turned into weeks, several theories emerged. Accidental fall or injury. The rugged terrain and rocky cliffs could easily conceal a fall. However, no body or evidence of an accident was found despite exhaustive searches. Voluntary disappearance. Some speculated Meredith may have chosen to vanish, citing her private nature and recent stresses. However, close friends and family dismissed this, noting that there were no signs of planning or financial preparation. Foul play. Police could not rule out the possibility of abduction or foul play, though no suspects or concrete evidence surfaced. Wildlife encounter. Given the area's wildlife, some wondered if an animal attack was possible. However, there were no signs of struggle or animal tracks that corroborated this theory. Red herrings and false leads. Among the many tips, two stand out as significant but ultimately misleading. Suspicious camper. A man fitting a vague description of a drifter was seen near the trailhead days before Meredith's disappearance. Investigators questioned him extensively, but found no links to Meredith. Found cell phone. A few miles from the trailhead, a discarded cell phone was discovered by a hiker. Initial hope rose that it belonged to Meredith, but forensic analysis revealed it had no connection to her. Both leads, although initially promising, ultimately ended without resolution, adding to the case's frustration. Official statements and case status. The RCMP, in a press briefing 3 weeks after Meredith's disappearance, confirmed the ongoing search but cautioned against speculation. Sergeant Michael Anderson, leading the investigation, said, "We are pursuing all leads, no matter how small. At this time, we have no evidence of foul play, but the absence of any trace is concerning. We urge anyone with information to contact the Canmore detachment." Local rumors and the lingering mystery. Canmore, a town where news spreads quickly, became a place where whispered theories flourished. Some locals speculated about strange lights seen near the park at night. Others mentioned hearing distant screams, though no one came forward with verifiable evidence. One rumor spoke of an old abandoned mine shaft near the trail, long closed but rumored to be a danger zone. Search teams examined the area thoroughly but found nothing linked to Meredith. Emotional toll. The months that followed took a heavy toll on Meredith's family and friends. Vigils were held, and community events were organized to raise awareness of the issue. Friends of Meredith described feeling a void in the town's collective spirit. "She was someone who brought light," said her close friend, Amanda Fields. "Her disappearance left a shadow that still hasn't lifted." A cliffhanger. On the evening of October 15, 1997, as searchlights swept the treetops and helicopters circled overhead, a faint but distinct sound was reported by one searcher. Something like a muffled cry or a rustle deep in the forest, near an old logging road far from the trailhead. Despite an immediate investigation, no source was found. Whether it was Meredith or something else, no one could say. The sound was recorded in the official search logs as unconfirmed auditory evidence. RCMP search report, log number 4537, October 15, 1997. This elusive clue, like many others, slipped away into the cold mountain night, leaving the mystery of Meredith Crane unsolved, and the community holding its breath, waiting for answers that have yet to come. In the months and years following Meredith Crane's disappearance, the case evolved from an urgent missing person investigation into a haunting cold case that continues to puzzle investigators and the community alike. Despite numerous leads, exhaustive searches, and public attention, Meredith's fate remains unknown. This segment explores the key developments in the investigation, scrutinizes several plausible theories, and examines the complex emotions and unanswered questions that surround this enduring mystery. Investigation developments. 1. Forensic follow-up and evidence analysis. Following the initial search phase, the RCMP forensics team meticulously examined Meredith's vehicle and personal effects. Her blue Subaru station wagon was held as evidence for several weeks. Lack of physical evidence. No blood, hair, or trace DNA was found inside or near the vehicle. This absence complicated efforts to reconstruct any event suggesting foul play occurred at or near the car. Missing camera bag. One of the most perplexing details was the disappearance of Meredith's camera bag from the vehicle. Investigators speculated that she had taken it with her on the trail. Unfortunately, no trace of the bag or its contents was ever recovered. No disturbed vegetation. Search teams and forensic specialists noted that the vegetation near the trailhead and along the Snaring River Trail showed no signs of disturbance, such as broken branches or disturbed soil, which would usually be expected if Meredith had fallen or struggled. 2. Witness statements and unexplained observations. Investigators carefully reviewed statements from park visitors and locals. Anonymous phone call. The chilling anonymous call received by Meredith's roommate remained untraced, adding a layer of unsettling mystery. Despite technical efforts, the origin of the call was never identified. Reported sightings. In the weeks following her disappearance, several unconfirmed sightings were reported in the vicinity of Canmore and nearby towns, but none could be verified. One witness claimed to have seen a young woman matching Meredith's description near a gas station 50 kilometers away, but the timeline did not support this account. Unconfirmed sounds. The muffled cry heard by searchers on the first night remains unexplained. Its source could not be located despite immediate searches. 3. Community and media impact. The case gained regional media coverage, briefly stirring public interest. Annual memorials and vigils have been held, keeping Meredith's memory alive. Despite public outreach, the number of tips diminished over time, and the case was eventually added to the unsolved files. Theories. Piecing together the puzzle. Though the facts are few and the evidence sparse, several theories have emerged over time. These theories do not claim certainty, but instead offer possible explanations based on known facts and behavioral patterns. Each is weighed with both plausibility and respect for Meredith's memory. Accidental death in the wilderness. The most straightforward explanation considers Meredith's disappearance the result of an accident in the unforgiving wilderness of Spray Valley. Rugged terrain. The Snaring River Trail traverses steep inclines, loose rocks, and dense forest. A misstep could have caused a serious fall, rendering Meredith unconscious or injured beyond help. No trace theory. While no body or belongings were found, the wilderness is vast and can conceal remains indefinitely, especially in a region known for wildlife scavenging and seasonal snow cover. Challenges to search efforts. Autumn conditions with rapidly dropping temperatures, dense undergrowth, and remote terrain could explain why search teams failed to locate Meredith. Counterpoints. Meredith was experienced in hiking and outdoor photography. Friends stressed her caution and familiarity with the area. The lack of any disturbed trail or obvious accident site complicates this theory. Voluntary disappearance. Another line of thought considers that Meredith chose to vanish, intentionally leaving her old life behind. Possible motivations. Though Meredith was described as close to family and friends, recent private stresses, unconfirmed by investigators, might have contributed to a desire for escape or anonymity. Missing camera bag. Taking her camera gear with her could support a planned departure, perhaps to start anew elsewhere. Lack of communication. Meredith's silence and failure to contact anyone could align with someone cutting ties. Challenges. The absence of financial activity, the non-use of credit cards, and the lack of known contact with anyone after October 15 suggests that this was unlikely. Close acquaintances and family insisted she had no reason to disappear voluntarily. Foul play or abduction. Though the investigation found no definitive signs of crime, the possibility of abduction or foul play remains open. Anonymous call. The mysterious phone call to Meredith's home that evening could indicate someone with knowledge of her whereabouts or involvement. Suspicious individuals. The man seen near the trailhead days earlier was thoroughly investigated, though cleared. Still, unreported strangers or transient individuals could have been present. Lack of evidence. The absence of physical evidence is not uncommon in cases of abduction in wilderness areas, where perpetrators can conceal their tracks. Challenges. No ransom demands or direct threats emerged. No witnesses reported hearing distress or witnessing suspicious activity during the relevant time frame. A supernatural or paranormal element. While not embraced by official investigators, some locals and paranormal enthusiasts have speculated about strange phenomena. Local legends. The Canmore area and its surrounding Rockies are home to folklore about lost souls and unexplained disappearances linked to the wilderness. Reported unusual sightings. Strange lights and sounds have been reported near Spray Valley over the years, with some locals linking them to Meredith's disappearance. Skepticism. These accounts lack empirical evidence and are often dismissed by authorities as folklore or misinterpretations of natural phenomena. Emotional and psychological impact. The unresolved nature of Meredith's case has left a profound mark on those closest to her and the Canmore community. Family trauma. Meredith's parents have struggled with grief and the agonizing uncertainty that comes with unresolved disappearances. Friends' perspectives. Friends describe a lingering sadness and frustration at the lack of closure. Community vigilance. Canmore remains vigilant, reminding visitors and residents alike of the wilderness's dangers. After more than 2 decades, Meredith Crane's case remains an enigma. Why did Meredith's camera bag vanish? Was the anonymous phone call a clue or cruel prank? Did she meet with someone near the trailhead? Could she have survived longer, only to vanish without a trace? Or did the mountains themselves claim her in silence? Meredith Crane's disappearance is a stark reminder of how nature's beauty can mask peril, and how even experienced individuals can be swallowed by the unknown. Her story remains open, a quiet testament to the many unresolved cases scattered across wilderness regions worldwide. What do you think happened to Meredith Crane? Was it a tragic accident, a voluntary disappearance, or something far more sinister? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Subscribe to the channel for more content exploring real-life horrors and missing persons cases.